All right, hello and welcome to a special episode of Robots Attack. It's our E3 discussion. We're going to break down all the different conferences, what the company showed, everything, our thoughts, and we'll do a summary at the end, kind of giving our feelings on some of our favorite things, maybe some of the things we didn't like, all that sort of stuff on this special E3 edition of Robots Attack. I am Joe, aka Django, and with me is...
Jason, aka Vilvestri, if you're looking on the social medias and or Xbox.
And we have a special guest straight from the land of Canada.
We've got Kyle, aka King Kain.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show with us and helping us discuss this E3 2017.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. I greatly appreciate it, and I plan to bring a different perspective towards this E3 for Robots Attack, particularly in the Nintendo department.
Yeah, I think it'll be nice. I think our fans know that definitely between Jason and I we side a little more on the Xbox talk, so it'll be nice to get some perspective from some of the others, just so people don't think we're the Xbots and all that jazz.
No, I'm
That's
totally
right.
PC Master Race now. I have evolved.
Oh,
Although my PC
traded.
can't do any of that stuff yet.
You're
But
getting there.
I'm working my way up.
The first stage
Gotta
of
start-
evolution into the PC Master Race.
Yeah,
That's right.
admitting that you are the master race, then
It could come off bad. But we'll move on.
Yes, let's
Yeah.
move on.
Shall we?
So, we're going to, as I mentioned in the intro, we're going to break down each of the different presentations and stuff. So, let's start off with EA. They kind of started
Oh,
E3 in a
goody.
way. So, let's start off with EA.
That sounds fine to me.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's chronological and such. So we might as well get this out of the way right away, because I know Joe and I probably aren't the biggest fans of this particular genre, and EA is a specialist in this genre, and that is the genre of sports ball
Yes.
in all of its forms.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and they talked about it quite a bit, and they talked about their sort of lineage of building up. Of course, new tech and trying to keep it a little bit more graphically intense every time, but their big thing that they were pushing was that they were in a second generation of the story mode on, I believe, the FIFA series, in the first generation, and a completely solid standalone story mode for their football series. You can tell I'm, again, huge sports ball fan.
Madden NFL
Madden.
18.
Yes,
If you're keeping
that
score.
right. But yeah, it is interesting that they're doing, I guess with FIFA, it was like a build your own character, and it makes a storyline off of that. But with Madden, they're actually doing something where it's a completely pre-done storyline. So you're playing a character that's already been fleshed out by writers, and that sounds kind of interesting to me. I don't know how big of a deal it is to a lot of sports video game fans, so we'll let you weigh in on that, since you are our representative now.
See, you're bringing me in for the sports perspective as well. So, again, I appreciate that. So, as far as the Madden goes, this is the first game that they're introducing actually the Frostbite engine that EA is known for practically every other game that they make.
Oh,
So
okay.
this
Right.
is obviously a graphical enhancement over what they used to use. As far as the story mode goes in Madden, um, it's called Long Shot. The story mode's called Long Shot, and it basically features Devin Wade, a quarterback from Texas, who is trying to reach the NFL, and basically he starts in the high school ranks, and he has to build himself up through this narrative and reach the NFL Draft Combine, which, if people aren't familiar what the Draft Combine is, it's essentially a pre-test and a grading system for people's skills as far as speed, reach, and agility, so that when they go into the draft, the general managers of their teams will be able to take note at who's kind of the highest ranked high school player out there, or in this case, it'll be at college level. So that's essentially what that long shot is. Again, the character's name is Devin Wade. He's just a fictional character. And of course, he comes from Texas because that's like football state in the United States. So it does make sense that it would be from Texas. As far as what has changed, they used to have like a be a pro game mode where it was kind of like an RPG element where you would create your own player from scratch.
Right.
You name them, you design them, you place them on a team, and you kind of, throughout the process of preseason matches, you would gain attribute points that you could disperse between like all sorts of different attributes like speed, agility, tackling, all that stuff. And eventually your character would get better, and the end goal was to reach the Hall of Fame, win the Super Bowl and then get into the Hall of Fame. So that's kind of where they based it off of, but now there's like this big story driven narrative to it. So to me it's quite interesting because I do like stories, and even in sports games I think it's quite interesting. So I don't know how it's going to translate.
I get the idea of like it being kind of a way to maybe get people who would be intimidated, like to just jump straight into multiplayer. Like, I'd like to maybe try a Madden, but I don't know what the heck I'm doing. But like maybe if I play this campaign, I can kind of like learn how in a way, like through the story, and not be just sort of thrown right into like online or just a game with the AI and just get slaughtered and be like, kind of a way to actually learn how to play virtual football. Or
Yeah, from that standpoint, it seems pretty smart. I know a lot of games have been doing that for a while. The most recent example I have, I'm fairly passionate about, is the Tekken series with Tekken 7. The story mode in that does a reasonably good job of trying to train you how to deal with people doing all manner of crazy stuff that they will try and do just to get like a cheap and easy win off of you. So like that in this also, and don't ruin a storyline while doing it.
Yeah, I think one of my concerns with this story mode is, since this is its first year for Madden anyways, that how much depth will there be? Is there going to be a ton of choices, or is this just going to be like a straightforward, we play for a couple hours and there you go sort of thing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Actual count on like a general time frame for completing the storyline would be. The other side of it was if they get like way in the weeds and have like personal life stuff, it would be kind of interesting if it suddenly turned into like an outright dating sim or something like that.
And I play those.
Right. I could only wish on that.
Right. Well, and that's,
I mean,
sort of the
Sasha
thing
is
with
way
Madden.
better than Tegan. That's my personal view on the first two characters they introduce you
to. Yeah, I mean, as far as I guess in general, sports games, not just Madden, but they're known for their don't every year because they only have this short development cycle, like less than a year, probably like 8 months to produce a new game. They're just
Yeah.
known for those incremental updates where it's like a roster update. It's a little bit of graphically enhanced update, and then there's some new moves or gimmicks added to it. So I wonder, because this is the introduction to the story mode for Madden, what is going to happen for next year's game, because they're kind of probably just giving us the base of what they could do with the story mode right now.
Yeah.
So it'll be what they do for next year, if they're just going to do like really small updates like they have in the past for the other game modes, or if this is going to be something that they really look to drive and support going forward. That to me is, I think, the most interesting aspect of that.
Yeah, like how many
Yeah, I'm
people
sure
actually touch the campaign or even finish it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, thankfully for stuff like that, they have all of the answers once people actually get their hands on it. So I know crushing sometimes finding out what amount of whatever part of a game people have played just off of like achievement statistics and so on. But
yeah.
you're the actual company, you have everything usually at this point.
Yeah.
With our
Definitely.
dedication to a connected game being like hardwired into the internet at this point.
Yeah. And in case you're wondering, Madden NFL 18 comes out August 25th of this year with cover artist Tom Brady.
Oh, everyone's
New
favorite
England
football
Patriots.
player.
Okay. Yeah. You're all over that.
Right? Totally. That was
Everyone
convincing.
Bonus points if you know who his wife is. I think you'd probably be more interested in that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll make a
time,
speedy
too.
move. Huh?
Right. We'll
We'll juke
Dang it, I
into
was
a
gonna say that.
canoe.
say that.
Oh.
My tongue caught on it, and so
Yeah.
you beat me. You out-juked me.
I did. I put a few more points into my juke attributes there.
We need a
Right.
speedy move on.
Right. So next up we have something that's got a new element to it that probably doesn't juke all that well, and that's a liberal amount of droids being placed into it, and that's the new Battlefront 2 game.
Oh man, I set
Now
up
that-
a segue for Need for Speed, and you moved on
Oh,
to
okay.
Battlefront 2. Man, come on.
Man.
Oh,
Hey, whatever you want to
just
do.
wasn't reading it.
Well, I
reading
guess
it.
not. No, that's good.
Oh, wow. What did I come into? What did I come into?
No.
It's
let's
easy to
talk
clip it.
Battlefront 2.
It's easy to clip it.
No, let's talk Battlefront 2. It'll be more humorous for the people.
Well, maybe we'll see droids accidentally going over each other's plans in Battlefront 2.
Hooray!
Yeah.
So it's created gigantic rift in the general Star Wars fandom that actually participates in the battlefronting. Whether or not droids are a good thing, it seems like a lot of people seem to think it's one of the worst things about the prequel movies, and so it's soul crushing. And me personally, I would love to have some of that sort of weirdness, and hopefully it doesn't go like super wacky, but just having some of the levity of a little bit weirder voices trying to shepherd you through these battle scenarios sounds kind of fun to me.
Yeah.
The big thing for me in the droids is them adding the super battle droids. They were some of my favorite elements in other Star Wars games, so having them be in this and you actually being able to play as them, it just sounds genuinely fun to me. Especially,
Yeah.
I hope they have voice lines that properly convey the condescending attitude that the super battle droids have over the regular like main line droids.
Yeah,
Um, and
I
on
mean, they seem to use a lot of the same sounds and music and stuff from the movies and everything. So
yeah,
Yeah.
the other thing I like too is them actually having what sounds like a droid announcer or commander trying to shepherd you through the scenarios. It's like more of a female droid voice. So I'm not sure we've ever seen whatever droid this is supposed to be, but it ends up adding a nice little twist to it also.
yeah, yeah, I just like that
Yeah.
they like this one seems like they listened to the pushback from the first one and kind of did like an almost complete overhaul of everything. Like it's more kind of class based. The the options you can select and like it's not about finding like tokens in the battlefield to turn into the heroes. It's not like a point based system, and
Okay.
it's just like hitting all three eras so there's more content. And then obviously probably I guess the big
Yep.
one is the inclusion of a campaign and it actually
Right.
being like
Yes.
a
Yes.
different like not just of like you're playing through like little stories vignettes from like each of the eras. It's like an actual like separate story that fits in as canon, that fits in between as a Jedi and Force Awakens, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
it'll be nice to have something coherent to walk you through those scenarios. And they're pushing pretty hard the new female protagonist for it. The presentation actually had her looking very menacing, like explaining her passions about the game, which
Yes.
I thought was kind of
Menacing.
interesting as a choice. I I'm sure it attracted some people to the game. I don't know if it worked that way for everybody because it was very intense her presentation of it. It was kind of cool that effectively it seemed like she was staying in character, so that was kind of
uh,
neat. But yeah, I don't know how well that hit with the grander spectrum of Star Wars fans. Um, but I thought it was kind of fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I think the main appeal for me is that story mode for sure. I think that's definitely, as Django had pointed out, that they kind of missed out on in the first game, and that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't pick up the first one was because it actually lacked any sort of campaign or story mode that really drove the story. So the fact that they've now adding in more content, it seems beefier overall, just the whole entire game, from customization to story to what have you. This should be a game that I'm definitely a lot more interested in than I was before E3, no question. It's interesting that they brought up the no season pass mention as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
It seems like they're trying to use like a seasonal structure like Overwatch, where they just give out free DLC as long as you have the game. So
Hmm.
that'll be interesting to see how that works out, because it obviously was great for Overwatch, and and it
Yeah,
could really help Battlefront to stay alive and not have most of its fan base die after like 4 months or something like that.
that said, it's also a main staple of Titanfall 2, and that game hasn't benefited gigantically off of that. So, unfortunately, it's not a bulletproof way of getting people to stay invested, but it definitely gives some extra points to them from the fans feeling like they're on their side a little bit more, as long as they're okay with microtransactions.
yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
I think this will definitely, just being Star Wars, will have a little more of an advantage of Titanfall being a original IP.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
the property of Star Wars. Yeah.
right. It
But
if hopefully they'll keep Titanfall around long enough that it will have like that massive structure that Star Wars has, and maybe like 2 generations from now, Titanfall will occupy space where they can just automatically have a successful video game. But that's just my personal wishes. But
yeah, I think.
And I have to point out that my favorite character in the Star Wars universe is in this game. And if you're not familiar with who that would be, I will let you know. It is Darth Maul from the Phantom Menace. He is in
Cool.
this game, and that alone
that
ranks it up.
that gameplay
alone.
of him was brutal. That was pretty awesome.
Yes.
Seeing
Yeah.
spinning around,
absolutely.
slicing and dicing. It's like, oh man.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
really
when-
made his mark in that.
When they showed the footage of him, and then they had Boba Fett like taking guys on, it's like, oh, this is pretty sweet.
Yeah. You and we had our stretchy pants on, I think, for that one.
Yeah, I think so.
that's probably wise.
We're well equipped for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm losing blood flow, man. I'm losing blood flow. But yeah, the other thing too that I know people have had some pushback on, but I personally really liked, and the only thing that we've seen so far in that area is for the stages. They've been showing Theed an awful lot, having a Naboo setting. Again, since people have a hate hard-on over the prequels, it has run into some problems as far as that goes. But I think it looks absolutely beautiful, and it looks like
Yeah.
it's a really well fleshed out
Agreed.
city too. Some of the shots where they show people flying around in the whatever jet fighters for either side, they show off that the city has a lot of layers for extra alleyways and so on that allow for some pretty decent combat, it seems like.
Yeah.
And just the look of it is really nice too. It's one of those things, it's like, for all of the problems that the prequels had, the art and the aesthetic of all of that stuff, it still holds up really well. And
Yeah.
even though it's really like palatial and whatnot, it has a unique twist to it with different color schemes than we're used to, and still having a nice feel of pomp and circumstance too. It's pretty impressive looking.
It's captivating for sure.
Yeah. And I think it'll be nice to, like, even if people are kind of, like you said, hating on the prequels and stuff like that, it'll not that, I mean, I love Hoth, I love Endor, all that stuff, but it'll be nice to have like some of these other locations to run around in and actually get some credit,
Some
and stuff.
variety.
Like, yeah, just what they'll be able to draw from and still have that iconic Star Wars sounds and visuals and stuff. And I'll be curious to see the modes and everything. And
Yeah.
I want a Gungan city. That's what I want. I don't know if I'm gonna get it, but I want to fight in a Gungan city. That's my wish. I want to be able to wander accidentally out into the water and like, instantly drown. I know it's maybe not the best gameplay ever, but it would be awesome.
I would
Ideally, it would have no Gungans in it. But if it had
Just
that
a barren
setting,
city.
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're off maintaining shield generators someplace or something, as they do, refilling sparkly balls of electricity.
I wouldn't be surprised if they use the the ancient Gungan, like,
Mm,
That would be
ruins
really cool.
in the forest part.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because then you wouldn't have to worry about the water stuff. But
Oh yeah.
Thank goodness.
My main exception for Gungans being in the game, I want like a sort of capital class character, sort of like the Darth Maul and whatnot of that Gungan king, because we haven't seen him fight, but I think he can throw down. I think the Gungans, they probably have like a social structure where they get to be king by like winning in combat. I think he wins off of his size for the most part, so he probably does like some sort of rolling attack, I'm guessing.
Jeez.
So yeah. I'm just fingers crossed we're gonna have that. We're gonna have that.
DLC, maybe
No,
DLC.
no, not even fingers crossed. I'm staying positive. We're gonna have that. They can't not have that. It's impossible.
Completely underappreciated. It needs to be
Right.
a DLC for sure.
If they can't see the need for that, they have bigger problems. It's built on a bad foundation. If they can't see that.
There'll be backlash from Robots Attack here. So keep an eye out on that TA.
Right. We will pull every string that we have. And,
We will hashtag it.
right. The hashtagging will be competent and mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you listeners out there, hashtag it. And get that guy in the game.
Right. Whatever his name is, this is
King
more a
guy.
game for you guys out there. I obviously
Gungan
know
badass.
what his name is because I'm very passionate about him, but I want to
Yes.
include everybody out there. Get
Of course.
in the comments. I want his name. I want
Yeah.
everybody
Get
to say his name.
involved.
There may be a prize involved, and the prize may be my respect or something else. You never know.
We'll never know. Quick, we need a way out of this.
How would we possibly have a way out of this other than to talk about a game that is literally called A Way Out?
There we go.
There. we
Yes.
go.
Knocked it out of the park. Knocked it out of the park. Okay. So who wants to set up A Way Out? Since I didn't play much of Brothers, and I know that's a key part to why people are passionate about this one, is that game got a lot of good press and people were really impressed. I've heard people try and call it one of the best games ever. I can't qualify that at all. So what are some of the thoughts along those lines?
I thought it was quite good.
Okay.
The
Quite good. Sounds good.
the way they sort of used the control scheme to control the two brothers was interesting, and like as you got used, like it took a little bit to get used to it, but the way the game was designed, like it has some clever ways to get you to practice and everything, and then without like spoiling stuff, it's the controls play a part in like the feels at the end. So
Okay.
I thought that was quite
Ah.
interesting. Like
Sounds good.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah,
how do you feel
I've
about
heard-
the aesthetic of A Way Out, being in a prison cell and trying to escape with your buddy and kind of mixing and matching and being
Are they
cooperative
brothers
together?
again? Is that a thing? They look like brothers. Is this going to be an ongoing theme with this company?
I don't know.
I'm not sure, but
You heard it here. They're brothers in this also. So It's
Maybe,
confirmed.
possibly, asterisk. Probably not.
Right. Completely,
Yeah.
completely confirmed.
Yeah.
High journalistic standards right here.
It is interesting that they're actually going for like you have to play this co-op. Like
Yeah.
that's a bold move, I think.
Yeah,
In
I
our
like that it's split screen no matter what, too. So it ends up uh, on the fly shifting around who's has the more relevant perspective on any given situation by making them a bigger part of the screen. I think that's a really
Yeah.
interesting tactic. Um, it some of the stuff that they set up, just as far as one person distracting guard and the other person using the distraction to pull off something, it looks like it could be really good mechanically and a lot of fun to try and trick people into getting super invested into any given situation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I see this definitely as a game for like co-streaming and stuff. I can imagine will
Oh
be
yeah,
quite popular.
Yeah.
yeah.
That would be
Twice
great.
the streamers. I mean, it's a recipe for success right there. Um, I couldn't tell, was the time frame supposed to be like 60s or 70s? Because it had sort of that feel to it. Or is it another country than we're used to? Because it definitely had a different aesthetic than like a
Yeah.
current day prison system, it seemed like.
I got that vibe as well, but yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
entirely sure.
Yeah, the big giveaway to me was the guards with like the classic like I'm a guard hat, you know.
oh,
Hmm. Yeah.
You don't see that as much anymore. They don't give the guards the hats anymore. That's why the prison systems are having problems. Right there. They need the hats again. Makes it official. Gives people self-confidence. I mean, Shawshank Redemption, they had the hats in that. Best guards ever. Am I right?
yes,
They're
they
on
were
the top of their game
Yeah. Yeah.
in that movie.
I'll
So,
go
yeah.
with that one. Yeah.
so nice, so friendly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. Okay, friendliness isn't maybe what I was qualifying here, but top of their game.
True, true.
So yeah, the hats are crucial.
Yeah, I think the concept and like the mechanics sound interesting. I like. I guess the setting and stuff doesn't really do anything for me at the moment. I'll probably kind of just have to wait and see. Like
Okay.
I know there was a lot of buzz around the game, and I guess I wasn't really in the same group. I guess be like,
Okay. Yeah, I wondered how much of it was just running off of how impressed people were with their previous game, or if it was on the strength of the product so far. The the producer or creator, I guess, when he was up on stage, he did a really good job of selling it, and trying to make people excited. So we'll see how well it works out.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
billing it as an emotional adventure, so well, that remains to be seen.
yeah,
But it's definitely one of those
That's
games where I'll keep my eye out on it. But
yeah.
like Django, it didn't completely enthrall me or anything like that. So we'll see what happens with it.
Is it
we'll see.
is it supposed to drop this year or is it next year? Did they give a release date? I can't
Yeah,
remember. I
early
remember.
early 2018,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
which will be a theme for this E3 as a possible spoiler.
Yeah. um, well, I think our the last game of E3 talk is something though that's coming out this year.
Okay.
I think,
What
right?
would that be?
Um, Need for Speed Payback. I don't know why I'm introducing this. I don't really have a care in the world for
Oh,
it.
okay.
The,
Okay,
yes.
I'm gonna go all in on this one personally,
Okay.
then, because they're purposely going for a Fast and the Furious feel to it, and it could completely derail the entire genre and kill everything. But it is a risk that I feel like has potential of paying off once people actually get their hands on it. Um, I know a lot of people were complaining that adding all of the story stuff in the middle of racing and adding the slow-mo, like gigantic car wrecks and everything would just completely ruin any sort of racing game. But to me, I feel like there's some potential there to have it be something that isn't necessarily a racing game. It's something that's blurring the lines between something like GTA and a racing game, just really nailing down all of the racing mechanics so it feels a lot tighter than anything like GTA has been so far, but still having that sort of feel to it. Of course, not as much like open world type of stuff, but a lot of people were picking on how it slows down and it could like derail you trying to make a right turn or something like that. Um, but the Burnout games, uh, I played a lot of Burnout Paradise. That had the same thing, and it actually added a lot of fun to it. It
Mm,
was part of the game to try and shove other cars around and get them out of your way and try and push them into signs and any
Yep.
given thing like that. And it was a mechanic that worked really well and it was a lot of fun, and it's the perfect type of thing for a game like this where you're apparently trying to go out and steal cars from what we see so far. Um, and I think it could pay off. Having it split between a couple of characters, I think, has potential too. Me personally, I see a lot of potential here. It could all go horribly wrong, but at least it's trying to do something different,
yeah,
and that's exciting to me.
to to go off of that, like I'm glad it is trying to do some different. Cause it's like you've got your Forza Horizon, you got your Forza Motorsport, you got your Gran Turismo. Like
Hmm.
instead of just trying to do like another one of those, they're trying to do something different. So that's cool. Like I applaud them for even if it
Yeah.
fails, at least they tried something like, hey, it's not just the same thing as the others. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Need for Speed series has always been different. It's more of that arcadey feel as opposed to Forza, where it has that more simulation feel to it.
Right.
So I think it's interesting that they're now on their 23rd installment into the series, Need for
It's
Speed series
crazy.
23,
Yeah.
and so I mean they obviously have their name stamped in the market as far as racers go. So it is interesting that to me it seems like they are capitalizing off of the Fast and the Furious and the success and the juggernaut that series is.
Mhm.
So
Right.
it is interesting that they are going that way because I believe that there will be some translation between the movie to this game. And the fact also there was complaints too when they rebooted the series in 2015 when it was just called Need for Speed. This is the sequel to that one. Um,
Hmm.
they completely abolished offline single player in the 2015 reboot, and
Oh,
now they're
right.
bringing it back in for this one. So that's obviously they are listening to their fans, and that's probably something that's good because not everyone necessarily wants to be racing online all the time. So the added feature of having that single player offline's nice. The day and night cycles, the transitions between them are really nice, and I feel that's should be pretty much standard at this point for racing games. Forza's done it impressively, as we'll probably mention later on. But yeah, this series is coming out November 10th. So to answer your question, Django, yes, it will be out later this year. So it won't be early 2018.
Yeah. Yeah, because they took a year off last year, right? They didn't have one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, they've had so many incarnations of this game at this point that I'm sure they've shuffled studios around and everything, but the series has some traction, and even if they misstep on this, they're probably going to use it to make a better product next time around. So I'm kind of stunned that people don't seem to have a little bit more confidence in this. At least being an interesting experience, because I've heard universally bad reviews from everybody that I've come across on, or not reviews, but commentary about this game, and hopefully I can turn that around single-handedly.
You can do
And
it.
get them the positive buzz that they need.
The positivity, yeah.
Oh.
I'm there for you, EA. I know you need my help.
Someone went, they spoke positively about Need for Speed Payback. Find that man.
I'm right.
Yeah. Hunt him down.
And give him a cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
Give him
Sylvester on
22 other
Xbox?
iterations of Need for Speed. Make him play all 22 of them until he's ready for this game.
Right.
Are you ready?
But yeah, I haven't played a lot of the Need for Speed series myself. I forget what they ended up branding it, but when they had the entire cops versus robbers thing, I played a decent
Hot Pursuit,
chunk.
I believe
Hot
it was
Pursuit. I played a decent chunk of that, and I had a lot of fun with it. I only had access to it at a friend's house, so I couldn't dive super deep into it. But I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because there was moments where you could play as the cops as well, and you could lay down spike strips and stop the other guys that were racing as well. So I thought that was an interesting take on it. That for me, I don't have a lot of experience with the series either, but they were like my weekend rentals back in the day. I would pick it up and be like, oh, okay, I'll play it for, a few days, have some fun, and then, take it back. Never, purchase them or anything, never went all in. But yeah, they were a lot of fun, especially if you like that kind of arcadey, not super realistic simulations that, Forza 7, for example, uses, or a Gran Turismo. So, yeah. It should be interesting to see where they go from here.
And the more arcadey style ones have an easier time attracting people, it seems like, too, because you get really into simulation territory, and it can knock people out of the genre pretty quick, because as soon as they're required to know everything about fan belts and flywheels, a lot of people are just done. So I don't see this having a problem as far as that, especially since it has an easy feel of being related to the Fast and Furious type of genre. So. So does that wrap us up for EA, or were there some other ones?
I think that does wrap us up for EA.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Should be all.
All right.
Yeah,
That's been our EA discussion. We'll now move on to another big name in the video game industry. Okay, I'm going to make a little pause. I'll edit this part out.